When I first started hearing the phrase hardcore, I assumed it meant going to extremes. Lifting until you collapse, chugging as many stimulants as possible, and ignoring everything else. Over time, I learned that real hardcore athletes push hard but don't lose control. They understand that pushing limits doesn't mean abandoning common sense. In fact, they respect their bodies and the long-term process. This presentation is about the difference between intensity and recklessness, how you can train at a high level without sacrificing your health or longevity. We'll explore what a hardcore mindset looks like, why reckless behaviors are tempting, and how to train smart. To start, let's define the mindset behind truly intense training and how it differs from a reckless approach. Being hardcore is about intensity anchored in discipline. It means attacking each session with focus and purpose, not simply going through the motions. Hardcore lifters don't skip workouts because they're tired or busy. They show up every time. This mindset demands that you give full effort on every set and rep. You plan your progressions, track your numbers, and challenge yourself. Importantly, intensity isn't an excuse to throw caution out the window. It's a commitment to doing hard things well. When you embrace this mindset, you adopt habits that keep you showing up and pushing yourself consistently. Now that we know what hardcore intent looks like, let's examine what it actually looks like in the gym when executed properly. In practice, being hardcore looks like chasing personal records, adding weight or reps gradually and deliberately. It means pushing past your comfort zone, whether that's through heavy lifts, high rep sets, or challenging supersets. Hardcore athletes don't fear failure. They view missed reps or tough sets as information that helps them adapt and grow. Most importantly, they maintain relentless consistency. They train through plateaus, injury rehabs, and busy seasons because they understand that progress is cumulative. This consistency might not look flashy on social media, but it's what sets serious lifters apart. However, intensity can be mistaken for recklessness. To avoid that confusion, we need to identify the problem with pursuing extremes just for the sake of being extreme. There's a fine line between pushing hard and being reckless. Many people blur this line by equating hardcore with doing more than their body can handle, or chasing the most dramatic sensation. This mindset leads to taking extra stimulants, adding exercises without purpose, or ignoring warning signs from your body. The problem isn't intensity itself, it's pursuing extremes for the sake of feeling hardcore. When intensity turns into chaos, you risk injury and burnout. Understanding this distinction is crucial. You can train intensely without abandoning structure. Next, we'll look at what the reckless path actually entails so you can recognize and avoid it. Reckless training often involves chasing a feeling rather than following a plan. Some lifters take multiple scoops of stimulants in search of a bigger buzz, experiment with untested substances to gain an edge, or skip sleep because they think recovery is for the weak. These behaviors may feel thrilling in the moment, but they come at a cost. Overloading your nervous system with caffeine or exotic stimulants can lead to jitteriness, anxiety, and eventually adrenal fatigue. Using sketchy compounds or unregulated supplements exposes you to unknown side effects. Ignoring recovery robs you of the very adaptations you're working for. To understand why people fall into this trap, we have to explore why reckless behaviors seem appealing in the first place. Recklessness is tempting because it offers the illusion of shortcuts. We all want faster results, and it's easy to believe that doubling your pre-workout dose or taking something exotic will suddenly unlock superhuman gains. There's also a cultural fascination with feeling extreme, being the person who takes it farther than anyone else. Social media amplifies this by showcasing risky behaviors and portraying them as the norm for serious athletes. Seeing influencers brag about insane stacks or training till they puke can pressure us into matching them. But behind those filtered highlights, the long-term consequences often go unseen. To stay grounded, we need to appreciate the costs of reckless training before we examine smarter alternatives. While reckless tactics may deliver a temporary rush, they often end up sabotaging your progress. Burnout can manifest as chronic fatigue, lack of motivation, or mood swings caused by overstimulation and lack of recovery. Pushing through pain or ignoring proper form increases the likelihood of strains, sprains, or more serious injuries that can sideline you for weeks or months. Even if you avoid injury, constant overstimulation and lack of rest can stall progress because your body never gets the chance to adapt. The result is wasted effort and frustration. Recognizing these costs makes it clear that a smarter approach, one that balances hard work with recovery, is the only sustainable way forward. This leads us to the alternative, pairing hardcore effort with intelligence. Real hardcore training is intense but also strategic. You still push yourself during workouts, but you follow a plan that includes progressive overload, deload weeks, and proper movement patterns. You respect recovery, getting enough sleep, eating well, and programming rest days because you know that growth happens outside the gym. This intelligent approach recognizes that intense training and recovery are two sides of the same coin. By balancing effort with rest, you not only prevent burnout but also maximize gains. This method might not feel as thrilling in the moment as going all out every session, but it ensures you can train hard for years instead of months. Next, we'll look at what really gives you an edge: consistency, discipline, and long-term thinking. The lifters who achieve the most impressive results aren't necessarily the ones who push the hardest on any given day. They're the ones who show up day after day, year after year. Consistency fosters adaptation. Discipline keeps you on track when enthusiasm wanes, and long-term thinking ensures you make decisions that benefit you months or years from now. This trio is what gives you an edge over those who burn out chasing temporary thrills. It's not glamorous, but it is effective. Developing these qualities positions you for steady improvements that compound over time. With that mindset in place, let's talk about another component of intelligent training: how to use supplements properly to enhance your performance without turning them into crutches. Supplements can play a valuable role when used correctly. Ingredients like creatine, beta-alanine, and caffeine can help you lift heavier, fight fatigue, and stay focused. When incorporated into a balanced program, they support the hard work you're already doing. The key is remembering that they're tools, not magic solutions. They can't fix poor sleep, sloppy technique, or inconsistent training. Using them right means choosing evidence-based products at proper doses and avoiding the temptation to continually increase consumption for diminishing returns. When you respect their role, you can make them part of a healthy, effective training regimen. One of the most common supplements is pre-workout. Understanding its role will help you use it wisely. Pre-workout formulas can be useful for boosting alertness and energy during a tough session. Ingredients like caffeine sharpen focus and reduce perceived exertion, while citrulline or beta-alanine may aid blood flow and endurance. When dosed correctly, typically one serving as recommended by the manufacturer, pre-workout helps you train harder without burning out. It's important to use it consistently, so your body and mind know what to expect and to avoid taking more than necessary. A single scoop, timed 20-30 minutes before training, is usually sufficient. Used this way, pre-workout becomes part of a disciplined regimen, supporting your intensity rather than driving you to reckless extremes. Next, we need to highlight what not to do when incorporating stimulants into your training. The biggest mistake people make with pre-workout and other stimulants is assuming that more is better. Taking 2 or 3 scoops may feel powerful in the moment, but it quickly leads to diminished returns and increased side effects. Excessive caffeine consumption can cause jitters, elevated heart rate, anxiety, and disrupted sleep, all of which hinder recovery. Over time, your body builds tolerance, so you're tempted to take even more, creating a downward spiral. Chasing extreme doses not only stresses your nervous system, but also feeds into the reckless mindset that more equals hardcore. By understanding these dangers, you can make smarter choices about how and when to use stimulants. We'll now contrast this with the right approach to dosing and formulation. Choosing the right supplement starts with looking for transparent labels and clinically supported doses. A balanced formula will provide effective amounts of key ingredients without relying on a laundry list of ineffective fillers. Pay attention to caffeine content and be mindful of your total daily intake from all sources. Always start with the manufacturer's recommended serving and evaluate how you feel before considering any adjustment. Controlled use also means cycling off stimulants periodically to reset your tolerance and avoid dependency. By prioritizing proper dosing and balanced formulas, you ensure that supplements enhance your training instead of derailing it. Pairing this with an emphasis on recovery reminds us that even the most intense athletes need rest, which we'll discuss next. Some think that sleeping 8 hours, taking rest days, or eating enough calories is a sign of softness. In truth, recovery is part of what makes training hardcore. Without adequate sleep, your hormones and nervous system can't reset. Without proper nutrition, your muscles can't repair and grow. Without rest days, you can't adapt to the stress you apply. Incorporating recovery strategies isn't babying yourself, it's respecting the process. Scheduling deload weeks, prioritizing quality protein and carbohydrates, and giving yourself time to rest enables you to train intensely for longer. Recovery is not the opposite of hardcore, it's a component of it, and it ties directly into the idea that discipline, especially when it means holding back or saying no, is more important than ego. Ego tells us to add more weight, skip warm-ups, or ignore pain, but discipline whispers that long-term success requires smart choices. Training with discipline means leaving a rep in the tank when your form breaks down, taking a lighter weight to master technique, and stepping away when your body signals it needs rest. This approach might bruise the ego temporarily, but it prevents injuries and keeps you progressing. Recognizing that doing more isn't always better demonstrates maturity and commitment to your goals. By prioritizing discipline over ego, you stay in control and reduce the risk of unnecessary setbacks. Now let's expand that mindset into thinking not just about today's session, but the years of training ahead. It's easy to get caught up in a single workout or cycle, but the most impressive physiques and strength numbers are built over years. Long-term thinking encourages you to plan your training in phases, set realistic goals, and prioritize sustainable progress over short-lived extremes. This perspective reduces pressure to chase every trend or push beyond your limits every session. Instead, you aim for consistent improvement, trusting that patience will pay off. When you adopt this mindset, you're less likely to burn out or get injured because you're investing in a long game. This shift in perspective also ties into the identity you create for yourself as a serious, disciplined lifter. Your identity shapes your behavior. When you see yourself as a casual gym goer, it's easy to be inconsistent or make risky choices. When you embrace the identity of a serious lifter, discipline becomes part of who you are. You seek out reliable information, follow structured programs, and make decisions that reflect your long-term goals. You also become more mindful of what you put into your body and why. This identity shift is powerful because it aligns your daily actions with your aspirations. Once you see yourself in this light, the difference between reckless and disciplined behavior becomes even clearer. The next slide highlights that contrast. One type of lifter burns out and the other builds. Reckless lifters often make a splash with dramatic feats and extreme routines, but their trajectories are short. They burn bright and fade fast. Injuries, fatigue, and loss of motivation eventually catch up. Disciplined lifters, on the other hand, build a foundation that supports continual growth. They may progress more slowly, but they do so steadily, staying healthy and improving over years. Their strength and physique are the result of smart programming, recovery, and mindful supplementation. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One path leads to burnout, the other leads to sustainable success. Recognizing this helps you choose the right standards to hold yourself to, which we'll outline next. At the end of the day, a disciplined athlete's standard is straightforward. Train hard, meaning give full effort and respect your program. Train smart, meaning use proper form, recover well, and leverage tools like supplements sensibly. Then repeat, meaning do it over and over until it becomes second nature. This standard guards you against chasing empty extremes and keeps your focus on what matters. Consistent effort executed intelligently. By committing to this simple yet powerful framework, you align yourself with the practices that yield results without sacrificing your well-being. With the standard defined, let's summarize the key takeaways from our discussion so you can carry them into your own training. To conclude, remember that being hardcore doesn't mean being reckless. Intensity drives progress, but intelligence ensures you can sustain that progress. Reckless behaviors, doubling down on stimulants or ignoring recovery, lead to burnout and injury, while disciplined strategies safeguard your health. Balanced training acknowledges that rest and nutrition are as critical as heavy lifts. Supplements are tools, not replacements. They should enhance an already solid program, not make up for poor habits. Long-term discipline compounds over years, delivering results that far exceed any short-term thrill. By training hard and smart, respecting recovery, and thinking long-term, you achieve a level of performance that others only dream of. Balance wins, and that's the true definition of hardcore.